Big time fight coming up this weekend at lightweight. We have Clay the Carpenter Guida, a guy that has spoiled title opportunities for big time fighters like Anthony Pettis in the past, and he's looking to spoil a return to the win column for the 41-year-old Ultimate Fighter winner, Leonardo Santos. Now, was that Ultimate Fighter this year? No, it was many years ago. Was this a guy that, listen, had an MMA debut in 2002? Yeah, it is. And for Leonardo Santos, if you go back through the record, that's the craziest part about it. His MMA debut was at Shuto Treasure Hunt 7 in June 29th of 2002 against Takanori Gomi, who was probably the best lightweight in the world at that time. If it wasn't him, it was BJ Penn. If it wasn't BJ Penn, it was Jens Pulver. It was somebody good in 2002, and Takanori Gomi was among the best. Leonardo Santos has had the highest of highs, including wins over Kevin Lee. He's also had fights where it was kind of close, and then he was maybe going to win against Grant Dawson, and then he looked awful at the end of it, and Grant Dawson looked great. And that's the scary thing. For Santos, the question always was, when will his age catch up with him? Might have been in his last fight against Grant Dawson. Oh, by the way, that was this year, 8 months ago, where he did lose that fight. But if you look at the 5-on-in, Kevin Lee, he beat him by finish. 6 years ago. Beat Adriano Martins. Adriano Martins knocked out Islam Makhachev. That fight was 5 years and a month ago. Knocked out Stevie Ray 2.5 years ago.
It was yesterday to Craig, though.
Beat Roman Bogotov by decision a year and 4 months ago. But in that fight, Roman Bogotov fought like Clay Guida does, except Clay Guida doesn't do illegal shots and get kicked out of the UFC because he means well. He's the Carpenter. He trains at a Team Alpha Male. Roman Bogotov went in there and went nutshot city. He tried every trick in the book. He fought like Ric Flair in an MMA cage, and it didn't work for him. And the promotion said, go back. Just see you later. You're gone. Pack your stuff and go. Leonardo Santos, though, as much as I like him, he's one of my guys on Early Stoppage, our podcast here. I talk about him all the time. I used to. I just wanted to see more of him. His last fight scared me because he looked old, but that was against a super prospect lightweight. I will say that.
And, well, good news. He's fighting another one of those this weekend. No, he's fighting another old man. And this is the thing. Leonardo Santos might be older chronologically, like he was born first. He's still the younger guy in this matchup, though, because he hasn't taken nearly as much damage as Clay Guida has throughout his career. And the problem with Guida is he can't just go out there and get a takedown at this stage of his career. He doesn't have the strength behind his takedown attempts anymore. And that's why I don't know how Clay Guida wins this fight, if I'm being honest. Like, his strikes are wild, and he doesn't have great accuracy on them anymore. Like he did back in the day where he would just throw a crazy amount of volume. But like now he just has the volume, but his range isn't great anymore. He doesn't have the best takedown numbers anymore. I just don't know what Clay Guida can do to go out there and beat Leonardo Santos. And I might be worried about Santos' 41-year-old age, but I still think he's the more consistent guy at this stage of his career. I really do. And Guida doesn't really have finishing capabilities at this stage of his career. If he did, I might see an avenue where he could win, but if this fight goes to decision, Santos could win. If it gets stopped, then it's definitely Santos the one stopping Guida. I don't know what Guida can do to go out there and beat Leonardo Santos. This is a weird fight. I understand why they did it. It's two guys around 40. It makes sense. I think they're very different versions of 40, though.
I'll explain to you why. Clay Guida still has a high output of strikes. It's a high output.
He does.
How accurate is it? Doesn't really matter. What do the judges see? Do they have a monitor in front of them with the striking numbers? No, they don't. So they have to make a judgment call. Guida's one of those guys.
So we're never bringing up striking accuracy ever again.
No, but when the hair pops out of the ponytail and it starts moving around and he does the old get rowdy, he gets wins. And if you look at it in his last fight against Mark O. Madsen in a co-main event slot, Madsen started to slow down, but Guida kept the same pace. Now, striking numbers are going to tell you a different story, but just listen to me. Go back and watch the fight and listen to me. Guida kept the same pace, if not a little bit of an uptick as the fight went on. If you want the numbers, I'll give them to you. In that fight, round 1, 18 total strikes for Guida. Round 2, 26. Round 3, 31. There was an uptick in the strikes and an uptick in the volume and in the pressure. And Madsen's cardio started to go way down as that fight went on. He did not look like the same fighter round 1 to round 3. It's because the output was really high in the first round, and it went down.
We predicted that, though.
Clay Guida presses a big-time pace. He puts a lot of volume on you. The good thing for Santos is he has pop on the end of his shots.
A lot of it.
The bad thing for Santos is he's closer to 42 than he is 41, and he lost emphatically to Grant Dawson. And again, I can't say this enough. Dawson's a super prospect. That's a good win for Dawson. It's a bad loss for Santos at the same time. I can definitely see a world where Guida wins this fight by decision, and it would not surprise me in the least, and it pains me to say it somewhat because, again, I've done videos on... We have a video on this channel with a thumbnail of guys that you should pay attention to, and Leonardo Santos is the guy in the thumbnail. Like, this is how much stock I've had in this guy throughout my career in MMA media. I look at the odds for this one. Santos open a minus 260 favorite, minus 185 right now. Guida open a plus 220 is a plus 152. If we have a look at the Topology votes, Matt, I'm going to say over under 65% Santos.
Way over.
Way over. 1,246 total votes, 75% Santos, 57% by decision, 24% by submission. For the 25% that have Guida, 80% by decision. So, Matt, we have a fight between Santos, a guy that can definitely finish a fight. Performance of the night bonus wins over Stevie Ray and Kevin Lee. UFC 198 Aldo McGregor. That's when Santos got a performance bonus over Kevin Lee. UFC Fight Night Gustafson Smith is when he got one over Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray.
Clay Guida's been fighting in the UFC since 2006. I just, if we're going to bring up both guys having weird losses and weird wins, it's just...
Fought UFC debut October 14th, 2006 against Justin James, submission of the night bonus.
So if we're going to bring up how, Santos is old because he got a bonus on a Conor McGregor pay-per-view, then I think we should probably tell the story from both sides. Clay Guida had a close fight against a guy, and we predicted exactly how that fight would go, Craig. I'm going to pat us both on the back. We said Marco Madsen would get tired as it go on, and Clay Guida would look better than he probably has in the past few years. That fight went how we thought it would. I still don't think he has a chance in this one. I don't. The thing was, Madsen doesn't have much for finishing capabilities himself, so you figure that fight would go to a decision, which plays into Clay Guida's hand. Guida's not going to go for many takedowns in this fight because Santos is that tricky on the mat, so you're going to have to be worried about getting submitted the whole time if you go for takedowns. On the feet, Guida can't stay in the pocket with Santos because Santos has legitimate knockout power, and Guida doesn't. So the only way Guida wins this fight is if he gets Santos up against the cage like he did against BJ Penn and just unloads on him with combinations. Now, BJ Penn may have actually been younger at the time than Santos is now, but... It's one of those, like, hey, you got to judge the fighter on how much damage they've taken throughout their career, not just how old they are. And I still look at Santos, the younger, more fresher fighter in this matchup, and that's why I like him in it.
I hate Santos behind the black line. I hate him on his back foot. I hate how much...
That's how he knocked out Stevie Ray, though.
The lack of output that he has. But he did knock down Stevie Ray and finish him, and he did knock down Kevin Lee and you get the knockout win there. But the inactivity, and again, he's... not active when he fights. I don't like the reservedness of Leonardo Santos. I can't pick him in this fight as much as it pains me. I'm taking the underdog Clay Guida in this one. And if you want to call me mean names, go for it. I really don't care at this point. Matt, we're disagreeing on the pick. You've got Nova Unyao's, Leonardo Santos. I'm going with Team Alpha Male's forever title challenger. The guy's just going to be in the headlights, spotlights. He's going to be headlining BKFC fights. Hopefully later than sooner.
No, I never want to see Clay Guida in BKFC, ever.
If Chad Mendes is doing it, then Guida's going to do it. But Matt, I've got Guida, you've got Santos. Brad Riddell's taking on Rafael Fiziev in the co-main event. And in our main event this weekend, holy smokes, Rob Font, Jose Aldo. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm so excited for it. So keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, as we always say.
Let's get into it.